Let's jump in with the worst team in the division and the worst team in the league, Carolina
The worst team in our
Panthers.
hearts.
The worst team to ever exist. The Carolina Panthers.
The new Browns.
2023 results. Last place, I did not put their win-loss record. Let's go with their rushing stats. They were 20th. Passing yards, they were 32nd best.
That checks out. 31st in points. Also checks out. Who was 32nd in points for the Iowa Hawkeyes, like in the NFL that year?
No, they probably would have been better. I think it was the Patriots, and they might have actually been tied for 32nd.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it doesn't, right. The exact number for any of these doesn't really matter. It's more just like, hey, are you 18th or 17th? Doesn't matter. You're middle of the pack. 31st or 32nd, you're bottom of the pack, worst. Head coach changes. Dave Canales comes in. He was the offensive coordinator from Tampa Bay. New offensive coordinator Brad Idzik follows Canales from Seattle to Tampa to Carolina on their couple-year uprise. Offensive line. This line, here's where we start to think about what happened in 2023, what's different, and where we can find an edge. The coaching is going to make a big difference, and their offensive line was horrendous in 2023, and they spent a lot of money on guards in the interior for 2024. So we expect some improvement. And when you're going from god-awful to fine, like fantasy players generally assume god-awful stays awful, but they don't. Teams get better, and you can ride those players up on their upswing.
Speaking of players to ride, let's talk about that QB position.
I am
Bryce Young.
Riding Bryce Young this year. He is what did not have an amazing year last year.
I've heard 32nd in passing yards, actually.
Yeah, that's true. You may have heard he was pretty bad. Ranked at 28th at quarterback, that seems too low. There's big upside potential here. And when I say upside, I mean he could go from 28th to 18th, 28th to 16th. So we're talking about two quarterback super flex leagues, but this is a guy in those leagues you're in an auction you're grabbing for $1 or you're grabbing very late who can give you big value. So he's got new receivers coming in. I like him. You want to jump to running backs?
Let's talk about running backs.
Jonathan Brooks, second round rookie. I think he's a second rounder. He's a highly drafted running back coming into this year. He's consensus ranked 35, which is taking into account that he tore his ACL in November of last year. So we don't know how much time he's going to miss. I'm not really going to think about his ranking too much at this point. We expect that he's the future of this team, but it might not happen until later in the season. But you got to follow it throughout the summer. Other running backs, Miles Sanders, Chuba Hubbard. This might be one of my big takeaways for the Panthers. It's like we don't expect Jonathan Brooks to start the year. Miles Sanders is consensus rank 62. Chuba Hubbard is consensus rank 42. I think people are looking at last year and saying Chuba Hubbard played a little bit better for those coaches, but when you're this bad, that doesn't really matter. The team was awful. The coaches that thought Chuba Hubbard was better were all fired. We don't know that it was it's obviously not just because of that one thing, but you see it all the time. Bad coaches get fired. The depth chart swaps up when someone comes in. You're not drafting either of these for a full season, but first quarter of the year, could you get some flex out of Miles Sanders or Chuba Hubbard if one of them takes a lead spot and is catching a lot of passes in this offense, like we know Dave Canales wants to do? You could find a little bit of usable value there.
Also, another quick note on this running back room. First time I've ever heard the name Chuba Hubbard said aloud, and I was immediately sad that it wasn't Chuba Hubbard, as I've always read it. Moving on to the wide receiver, Chuba Hubba. Moving on to the wide receiver position, Adam Thielen still out there vibing.
Old man, but he was wide receiver 25 last year.
Yeah, that's not horrible. It being a terrible team.
They were a horrendous team, but it's not like he was wide receiver 25 and someone else on this team was also catching passes or getting open, it was really only Adam Thielen getting open. In this offense, if Adam got open and Bryce Young had enough time from his line, they usually found each other.
Yeah.
He's expert consensus rank 63 this year, and I don't see that far of a fall. I think with this offense bringing in Deontay Johnson at wide receiver, they drafted at, I think technically first round, like pick 32, Xavier Legette. These guys are all undervalued to me.
Yeah.
Someone here is going to be usable in 12-team leagues, in 10-team leagues, but none of them are really being drafted like that, with the exception of maybe Deontay Johnson. He's consensus rank 39. All of these guys I see value in. I see value with Johnson. He has top 20 skill, and a worse offense last year had a top 25 receiver. I think Deontay Johnson could kind of take over that alpha role in this passing game and get up way higher than 39th.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibility there. Tight end position, we don't know anything.
Didn't even write one down.
I
can't think
for now.
Yeah, I'm not thinking about this team for tight ends. They might still have Hayden Hurst. I don't think they do. That might not even be a dude. Tight end, don't
even think about it. So best value on this team, do you think that's, I mean, for me, it feels like it's between Deontay Johnson and, like you said, Bryce Young. Are these people that you are drafting or starting, do you think, week one?
Deontay Johnson, yeah, I'm drafting.
Are you starting in week one, do you think? It's like a flex, maybe?
I think this, as a flex, yeah. I think that the same way I've said in a couple of videos so far that this is the year to move to 2 quarterbacks, it might be the year to move to 3 wide receivers. There's so many guys. So I think he has the skill to be a starter, but I don't know that I'm going to leave a lot of drafts where it's worked out that Deontay Johnson is my second guy, just because there's so many guys.
Yeah. But it could be good to pick up, sit him on the bench, see if he pops off.
Yeah. Or you draft him, he becomes a startable asset, and you trade the guys that you drafted ahead of him.
Yeah, not bad. Bryce Young, do you think, I mean, pulling numbers completely out of your ass, do you think he figures it out in the first couple of weeks? Do you think you maybe have him and sit on him for a little bit? What does that look like?
This is one guy I feel strongly about. I mean, he's consensus ranked 28. He's going to cost you nothing. I'm going to try to get him in every 2 QB league I'm in.
I like that.
Because if he's a top 16, 17 guy, like, you paid nothing for him. Yeah. And that just opens you up to be more flexible with the rest of your roster.
And then Adam Thielen, do you think you're even going to need to draft him, or you think you can just pick him up waivers?
He's going to be right on that bubble of drafted versus waivers, but he's not someone I'm going to target because I think Deontay Johnson is the better bet in this offense. But he could still be good. This could be a two usable wide receivers and Xavier Legette getting up to speed. I could see that.
Yeah, absolutely. For Adam Thielen, you could just put in the all chat old all the time and just see if it sticks, maybe you can get him for free.